This is Mary Findley, and I want to thank you for coming into my Inside Cleaning seminar today. We're going to teach you a lot of shortcuts, a lot of do's and don'ts, a little bit about some toxic chemicals and things like that today. The very first thing I want you to do when you walk either inside your home or your RV, whatever, these things that are on the bottom of your feet, called dockums, I call them dockums, dock them at the door, right? I want everybody shaking your head, yes, I'm gonna dock them at the door. And that's the reason why I want you to take your shoes off, is because of the fact that, okay, you're out here walking on the pavement, on the asphalt. So the grease and the oil collects on the bottom of your shoes. You go tromping across the grass, now you've got sand and grit on the bottom of your shoes. You come inside, you walk across a hard floor surface, you now have scratches on your hard floor surfaces, and your carpeting, if you have carpeting in your home or your RV, just turned into a real expensive welcome mat. Kick your shoes off at the door. You're going to prevent a lot of cleanup. You're not going to have to clean your carpets as frequently because your carpets are going to stay cleaner a lot longer. Now, I do realize that a lot of people have foot problems. Diabetes, flat feet, arthritis in your ankles and things like that, where you do have to wear shoes inside. So the trick with that is have a pair of indoor shoes sitting just inside your front door or the door to your motorhome or your RV. Have those and then switch your shoes. So you've got inside shoes and outside shoes. You'll cut down a lot of that. Okay, so let's talk about when you first come in the door. Let's talk about floor care, hard floor surfaces and carpeting. First thing that I just had talked about was kicking your shoes off at the door, right? That's going to help prevent a lot of your carpet stains and a lot of wear and tear on your carpeting as well, because those shoes are heavy and they really grind that dirt and the grease and stuff into the carpet. It will extend the wear on your carpet. Did you realize that carpeting and hard floor surfaces comprise a majority of what goes into the landfill? So if we can extend that life of those, it's really going to help a lot to reduce the toxins that go into a landfill. Now your carpeting, one of the biggest problems that you have with carpeting is, so it starts getting dirty, right? And you go out and you'll rent a carpet shampooer or you'll hire somebody to come in and shampoo your carpet for you. Well, 2 weeks later, have you ever had this happen where 2 weeks later the carpet's dirtier than it was before you got it shampooed? What happens with that is it's like shampooing your hair and you don't get all the shampoo rinsed out. By the end of the day, it's feeling kind of dirty and gunky. It's because the shampoo that's left in your hair has actually collected the dirt and the dust in the air, and you can't just shake your head and get rid of it because it's actually stuck in your hair. And so the same thing is happening with your carpet. One of the things that you can do to combat that or to get rid of this dirt and stuff in your carpet is go rent a carpet shampooer and dilute around 2/3 of a cup of distilled white vinegar. And again, make sure that your vinegar the bottle states that it's made from grain, food grade, and safe for pickles doesn't count because that could be made from petroleum. So get a bottle that says made from grain. That's why I always buy Heinz. I'm going to give them a plug here, and I don't get paid commission for it. But I always depend on Heinz because I know it's a good vinegar to buy. Vinegar has a couple abilities. One of those abilities is it will extract soap residue out of the surface that you're cleaning. But it will also reactivate the cleaner that's in your carpet. So you're going to reactivate that cleaner. It's going to help remove the dirt, but the vinegar is going to pull that dirt up out of your carpet. And they're going to stay cleaner a lot longer because you're going to kick your shoes off at the door, right? Okay. All right. Everybody's shaking your head. Yes. Glad to see that. Now, one of the problems with the carpeting are your carpet stains. Okay, my number one rule, give your product time to work, right? Remember me talking about that earlier? Okay, so what you want to do is take your Clean Ease. Now, Clean Ease will remove most of your carpet stains. I'm not going to go into detail here about carpet stains, but on my website, www.goclean.com, look under stain removal. It will tell you how to remove each individual stain that you can come into. But generally speaking, food stains, dirt, grease, oil, my Clean Ease will remove those. My number one rule, remember that, is give your product time to work, right? So you want to spray that stain, wait for, maybe about 5 or 6 minutes, then dampen your cloth down with some vinegar and water. And again, like I showed you earlier, take your knuckle, poke that into the towel. Now you're going to put your knuckle right on top of that stain with your wrist facing to the right and twist that clockwise. See all that dirt coming out of there? Okay, so keep going like that and just keep twisting it, shift the spot. It's going to take a few times to get all of that out. Now generally, the stain won't come out completely the first couple times that you do that because that dirt's gotten ground down into the carpet, and it just takes spraying it a couple times to get rid of all of the stain. So if it doesn't take it out the first time, retreat the stain. Then when you finish treating the stain and it's completely gone, then use your vinegar and water solution. How much vinegar to water? Generally about a tablespoon of vinegar to a cup of water is sufficient. Rinse the Clean Ease or your organic all-purpose cleaner out of the carpet with vinegar and water, and your stain is not going to come back on you. Now when you get, like if any of you have pets, I know a lot of you have pets that you travel with in your RV and at home as well. They may have an accident, and it may be a urine stain, fecal matter, or perhaps they get sick to their stomach and the vomits onto the carpeting. What happens when, or either that or you have a cup of coffee and walking across the carpet accidentally trip and oops, your cup of carpeting or your cup of coffee is now in the carpeting. What happens when you have a liquid? That liquid hits the carpeting, and carpeting fibers are not very tall. They're kind of short. So the liquid has nowhere to go but out. So what I want you to do, if you have a Bissell vacuum cleaner where it'll suck up liquids, or a wet or dry vac, use your wet or dry vac or your Bissell vac and soak up as much moisture as you can. Then go grab 4 or 5 old bath towels that you're not using in the bathroom anymore because they've frayed. This time you can't put your shoes on, okay? So lay 4 or 5 layers of towels down on your carpeting, and then you're just simply going to walk on your carpet, okay? And I want you to come from all 4 directions of that carpet, because what that's going to do is the weight of your body will help pull that moisture up to the top. But it's going to help extract the moisture out of the carpeting, but it's also going to tell you how far that stain spread. And that's really important, especially if you have a pet, because oftentimes a pet will continue to go back to that same spot and retreat that spot with its urine. And that's because of the fact that the urine got on the outer edges, it got way out there, and you didn't realize that it was there, and the pet is still smelling it. So by walking on some towels, it tells you how far the stain is spread. Now, a really great product to use to remove pet stains is one called Nature's Miracle that you'll find at the pet stores. It's an enzyme product, and I love it because the enzymes, well, the best way I can describe that is it's like little Pac-Man, from the Pac-Man video game that we used to play, and they go around and they eat each other up all the time. Well, that's what an enzyme does, is it eats up the bacteria. So it gets rid of the odor and it gets rid of the bacteria that causes the stain. So it'll do both of those for you. Clean Ease going to take care of the rest of it for you, and without any problem at all. So again, give your product time to set. Let it set in there for a little bit to dissolve those stains, and then rinse it out of there with some vinegar and water. Now, vinegar is really neat to rinse out pet stains, again, because vinegar also helps destroy odors, and it also helps kill mold and mildew. So if you have a lot of liquid in your carpeting, sometimes you can develop some mold and mildew down there because the moisture doesn't get completely, dried out quickly enough. Setting a fan right in front of that wet moisture will help your carpets dry a lot faster. Okay, now let's get into hard floor surfaces. Oh boy, and if you think that I have been stepping on a few toes up until now, wait until we get started on hard floor surfaces. When I was cleaning houses, I was cleaning with a string mop and a sponge mop, and it was a mess. It was costing me $800 to $900 a year to replace mops. Got pretty expensive. And that's where I developed my mop that just holds your terry cloth towels. And there's a part of the website that will tell you more about that. All you do generally is just dampen a towel down, throw it over my cleaning head or my mop head, damp mop your floors, the towel goes in the washer, so there's no buckets of water to fill up, there's no mops to rinse out, none of that nonsense to deal with. And so it's real fast and easy. Now, when you're dealing with your hard floor surfaces, anything made of wood or the laminated wood floors, you want to use as little water as possible as you can, because a lot of moisture will develop and work in between the boards, and it'll warp the edges of the boards. So be real careful. What you can do, most of the time, vinegar and water is extremely safe to use to clean a hardwood floor. Vinegar also has another neat attribute, and it neutralizes the alkali in the water so that it prevents the water spots from forming on your hard floor surfaces. So add, maybe about a tablespoon of vinegar to a 32-ounce spray bottle of water. Spritz both sides of your towel, and then you can damp mop and get the dirt off of those floors without having to worry about putting too much moisture on them that's going to warp those boards. Now, a little caution with hardwood floors. A lot of the hardwood floor manufacturers will tell you that not to use anything else to clean their floors except what they recommend. If you use even vinegar and water on them, it could void your warranty. So make sure you follow your manufacturer's instructions for those hardwood floors. Now, stone floors, tile, granite, marble, and your composite floors like Corian, something like that, there's only two things that belong on those floor surfaces: hot water and your feet. Now, I have a lot of people go, "Oh, but Mary, I've got to disinfect my floors." Why do you have to disinfect your floors? Do you disinfect your feet? Okay, there's a lot, and you're laughing. I can see that you understand where I'm going from. Unless you're disinfecting your feet, the germs are going to get right back on your floors. It's not doing any good. Outside of that, except for MRSA and the AIDS virus, germs only live generally for maybe 3 or 4 hours. So by the time you get ready to, quote, disinfect them, there isn't anything to disinfect anyway. Now, if your pet has had, and there are exceptions, say your pet's had an accident on your hardwood floor, or say you've dropped an egg, or you've spilled some milk, something like that. Does that need to be disinfected? Oh, absolutely, it does. So again, use your Nature's Miracle. It's safe to use on any kind of a floor surface. It will disinfect it, rinse it out of there with warm water when you get done. One of the problems with stone floors, now you're just going to clean your stone floors, your composite floors, tile, marble, granite, with warm water, with hot water, and a terry cloth towel only. This will do a great job of getting all of that dirt off of your floors. But sometimes the grout in those can get some dirt in the grout. I carry a little product called the Stain Eraser. And this thing works just like a pencil eraser, and it gets down in the grout and it erases those stains out of the grout for you. Now, the nice thing I like about this is, yeah, you could use a little bit of bleach, or heaven forbid that's toxic, or a little bit of hydrogen peroxide to get the stains out. The only problem with those items is it's going to take the color out of color grout. So you can use it on white, but don't use it on anything else. This will work on anything, any colored grout that you have. It's good to clean that grout. On your linoleum floors, those can be cleaned. They require a little bit less care, so you can add like 1/4 of a capful of Clean-Ease to a bucket of water. And I actually use the Clean-Ease and I pre-spray in front of the sink, in front of the stove, in front of the refrigerator. Pre-spray those areas because linoleum floors oftentimes have little, I call them little divots. They're little tiny holes, and it gets difficult to get the dirt out of those holes. So I pre-spray those areas. Then I just grab a towel, dampen it down with hot water only. It goes over my cleaning head, damp mop your floors, and you're done in maybe about 5 or 6 minutes time. It's really fast and it's really easy.